let's just see if this is happening. So anyways, welcome back everyone, and I'm super happy to have some people actually sitting here waiting already. That's great. So welcome especially to you guys. And as usual, feel free to ask any questions you might or might not have during the whole thing. Well, since the last couple of weeks I successfully avoided the topic, and it's kind of the elephant in the room at this point in time, let's address it today. So here is the elephant in the room. His name is Corona. He's around right now, and I got the feeling he's gonna stick around for a while. So that was the little Corona. And on that happy note, well, welcome back everyone. Yes, so this was our new very short little intro. And yeah, so as I promised previously, I did talk to a couple of people about the current situation and got a couple of contacts as well. And some of them actually sent a video about the current situation, so I'm gonna share those with you as well. On a rougher note, I mean, Corona by now kind of made it into mass media, and pretty much everybody has kind of an idea of what it is all about. Bottom line is, it is a virus, so it is spreading like a flu, which happens pretty quick. But the big difference is that, well, up until recently, nobody had it yet. And what I kind of like about this whole scenario here is that conspiracy theorists are going crazy over it. And really, it's just something natural that did happen before, and it will happen again, or so is the theory anyways. So anyhow, there's so many different little articles and videos about the whole crisis and what's going on, and obviously everybody has their favorite, and I picked mine and just gonna put it on you. It's just a quick little video, but have a look. I think it sums it up pretty excellent.
Hello, I'm from the government with an urgent message about the coronavirus. We know many of you are confused. Some say it's no big deal. Italians are freaking out. The Chinese are hiding out. And Aussies seem to think the virus attacks your butthole. Medical experts have coined a scientific term to describe the situation we're now facing: a shit show. It's important to note that the shit show isn't caused by the virus itself, which we can manage, but rather by dangerous levels of egregious dumb fuckery spreading about the virus. Through forensic analysis, experts have traced the path of the dumb fuckery back to this malignant shit funnel, who said he's not worried about corona since it's no worse than the flu. One of the symptoms of dumb fuckery includes not understanding simple math, leading many to laugh off this virus for only having a death rate of about 2%. Since experts say the US alone could have 96 million cases, 2% of that comes to approximately a lot of fucking dead people. Of course, the death rate is much higher among older people. This has been largely dismissed due to another symptom of dumb fuckery: not caring about the elderly, or as experts call it, being an asshole. If left unchecked, this shit show can drastically worsen the impact of coronavirus by overwhelming a country's healthcare services. For example, the US only has 1 million hospital beds. Oh, and face masks will probably run out too. So as doctors and nurses get infected, there could also be a shortage of them. When you combine all that with a government that has no regard for science, a vastly uninsured workforce without sick leave, and millions of guns, you get what experts call a munted shit show. To avoid a munted shit show in your country, experts are now advising governments worldwide to be the exact opposite of America. If you're not already infected by dumb fuckery, we ask you to spread this graph among your friends and family, instead of bullshit memes. It shows how by flattening the contagion curve, we can slow down the spread of the virus so our hospitals and carers can cope. You can help flatten the curve by practicing hand hygiene, avoiding large gatherings, and phoning your doctor if you develop symptoms. Delaying the spread even by a month could prevent thousands of deaths, and not just corona deaths. It also means fewer deaths due to any emergencies requiring hospital care, which could mean you or your loved ones. And remember, if you do run out of toilet paper, Rupert Murdoch produces a wide range of bog roll replacements worldwide. This has been a message from your local government franchise. Goodbye. Authorized by the Department for Responding to Global Emergencies when they're threatened.
So this was the beautiful little piece of artwork from the Juice Media. Great little organization. They make amazing stuff. So if you are curious to see more about their stuff, make sure to check them out on YouTube. All of them are just freaking amazing. But what I did promise you for today is also a couple of stories about what people around the world are dealing with at the moment. And we do have a couple of friends who are actually got stuck on their boats. So one of them, oh, and by the way, if you have any particular questions or want to share your story about what's going on with you right now, feel free to throw it in there in the chat as well. One of the people we're more in touch with than others are currently stuck on their little sailboat in Greece. Mostly we are in touch with them. Well, first of all, they're old friends of ours, so we try to keep in touch either way. But also they are actually pretty close to where our boat is on the hard right now that we can't get to, unfortunately. But right now the situation in Greece is actually getting worse right now, even though the curve is flattening out at the moment. But for them the situation now is that they are stuck on the boat. In order to actually go ashore, which you can do once a day, you do need a printed permit. So that means you have to reroute via a police station or harbor master every time you go shopping even. And in their case it is a small boat, and well, that's where they're stuck. And right now apparently the weather is also not exactly on their side, so lots of nasty factors that are just playing along. Plus they are actually tied up on a mooring, not in a marina, so they can't just jump on land and go for a walk on shore, which is rather nasty. So in case you want to say hello to these guys, that's sailingtiki.at. Other friends of ours that some of you might actually know, Liz and Jamie from Follow the Boat, they are right now stuck in Asia, also on the boat. They are actually in a marina there, which is not bad because, well, mostly you have easy access to land. They do have a cat as well, Millie, so she can go for a walk around at times when she's feeling a little better. But ultimately, for many cruisers, it's just a really big question mark of what the hell is going to happen next. How long are we going to be stuck in that situation? When will we be allowed to go out again? And in many countries, they actually did close the borders already anyways. But also the entrance point via sea is closed in many cases. So, for example, in Italy, quite a few of the immigration entrance harbors are closed by now, which means even on private boats, which in many countries, especially in the Mediterranean, you're not allowed to use recreational boats anyways. And that means you can't go anywhere unless you do have a special permit, which are supposedly not that easy to get a hold of these days. One of the other cruisers that are actually in Italy right now, they were kind enough to send us a little video by themselves. So make sure to have a look at this. They are sailing vessel in Pavidus. I hope I pronounced it the right way. But they are right now in southern Italy, which is, well, the country that got hit the worst in Europe so far.
Hi, I'm Ant.
I'm Sid.
And this is our sailing vessel in Pavidus. We're currently located in Gaeta, Italy, which is about 60 kilometres south of Rome. The next big town is Formia. I'll put a map in, that's where we are. We're in the Med. We were planning to leave on the 15th of April, thereabouts, to head towards Greece. However, we're not sure that we're going to be allowed to travel then. We've been in lockdown since
9th of March.
9th of March, so 20 odd days now. The marina staff here, it's a privately owned marina, and they've been absolutely great. Obviously keeping their distance and wearing their masks and gloves, but there's hand washes and everything everywhere, isn't there?
There is, and we get weekly email updates of what the situation is and what's happening. And
so we're allowed to take our two little pooches, Oscar and Lady, for walks, which we do twice a day. We try and stay in the marina because there's a big area that we can walk around. But we have been out onto the promenade a couple of times. The shops are quite good, aren't they?
They are, yeah. They obviously on lockdown they're only allowing one person in at a time, but they're small supermarkets anyway, so it's not really a big problem. I've never waited more than 20 minutes.
And there's no panic buying, is there?
None whatsoever.
I have to say,
fully stocked.
the Italian people are just taking it in their stride. The police are out in the streets and they're asking people to stay at home unless it's absolutely necessary. They're patrolling and they're stopping people and asking them where they're going. But
we've never had an issue. I mean, we only ever go out the marina with the dogs, or if I need to go and get groceries or laundry. I think we've fared better than a lot of other marinas that we've heard stories about, especially in Sicily, where they've literally closed all the toilets. Luckily, everything we need is in the compound and the gates are locked on the marina. So we've got access to the showers, the toilet, the laundry. It's a big area. There's 8 of us here at the moment, 8 liverboards, and we've literally got the run of the marina. So it's marvellous for us.
There's 3 other English boats here, an American boat, a couple of French boats over the other side, but we think that they've gone back to France for the lockdown. I have to say, if you're going to be stuck anywhere, this is the ideal place, or it's been ideal for us, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
I hope you guys are doing okay. The best way to fight this is to stay at home. Don't go out unless it's absolutely necessary, and if you do, make sure you wash your hands. It's so simple, isn't it?
It is.
Okay guys, look after yourselves and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, so that's the situation in the south of Italy. Personally, right now, obviously we're still stuck in Austria. The borders are still mostly closed except for cargo, obviously, and special permits. But we are still wanting to go back to Greece sooner rather than later. Even though at the beginning I was kind of upset that we didn't make a move soon enough and actually managed to get there before this whole madness is happening. By now I'm actually pretty convinced that it was the better choice to be here and be stuck in Austria rather than in Greece, where you don't really know if being on a boat, on the hard especially, actually does count as quarantine, which is not optional but rather compulsory at this point. On the other side, there's always something good on any nasty end. So some of the news that I come across recently are, well, the ones that I'm sharing with you right now, which actually is something like, well, obviously flights are down throughout the planet, which means empty airports. All in all, less and less traffic. Well, that was a whole different story from the Austrian news, where they say, well, the coronavirus was basically triggered by us eating animals, and it was something that came from the wildlife, which, well, is mostly given. Something I did love is the fact that dolphins are coming back into big cargo boats and big ferry ports, even though that news kind of lifted off quite nasty. Here you can see that they were seen in Cagliari. Strangely enough, the same video made it around the world, and all of a sudden it said they were in Venice, then they were in, well, all sorts of parts of the world. But really, that particular video, and I'll put the link in the description below, that was in Cagliari in Sardinia, Italy. Then I think that one is something that everybody has seen by now, that the canals in Venice are going crystal clear again, which also makes perfect sense. I mean, if you look at Italy, there's generally speaking thousands and thousands of boats in the water and on the way all day, every day. And finally, they stop moving. So obviously there's a lot less movement in the water, which again means there's less silt that gets kicked up. And that again means the water has a chance to clear out. So that's the situation right there, which absolutely makes sense. The bottom line is, though, the moment the boats start moving again, that's gonna be over pretty quick. And the other thing that I'm somewhat worried about is this. So in Austria, I know it for a fact. I guess that most other countries are stepping up as well, and they offer help for the companies, the businesses, all the individuals that suffer from this whole corona crisis. So quite naturally, the thing that a business has to do or wants to do after something like this, right now everybody's shut down for, well, by now we're closing in on a month, in Europe that is, which means once everything opens up again and kind of goes back to what could be called normal, they have to catch up for a certain amount that they just didn't make a lot of money, even though they do get the money from the government. and that means all that money will be put into raising the production. So even though right now lots of people are on the spot where they say, hey, everything is fine and climate change is being stopped and the production is stopped and no planes and all of this, once this is over, I have this horrible feeling that things will go absolutely crazy and production will skyrocket higher than it ever was before, and that this will us ourselves be kicking ourselves in the butt, really. And that's the other thing that I really don't like about this whole crisis now, that everybody's looking at that, which, okay, fair enough. Yes, it is a big issue and it is rather pressing and it's happening right now and it does affect everyone involved. What we tend to lose out of sight at this point, though, is that there still are other issues on this planet that that we should be fighting with, or that we should be tackling, that we should be working on. And that could be climate change, that could be overfishing, that could be, habitat loss, mass extinction of all sorts of animals. All those things have not stopped just because we stopped. So that's just something to keep in mind. And the fisheries actually brings me to another point I really wanted to mention today, because there's this misconception that fisheries stopped as well. That is not happening. So many people who are sailing do know or might have realized that the sailing community and all the private boats are stopped. We are not allowed to leave harbors in, I'd say, 90% of the countries around the world by now. And safety measure makes perfect sense, but this does not lock down commercial boats. And commercial boats obviously are the big container ships, oil tankers, all the really big guys that are out on the water all day, every day anyways. Even though many of those actually stopped because there's just not enough need for things right now. But fishing boats are still out there. And that is something to keep in mind, because I'm not saying that usually there's a lot of controls out on the open seas, because honestly, they're not. Well, simply most countries don't have the logistical means to actually check on all the fishing vessels out there. Like the Maldives has something like 2 or 3 patrol boats that they use to check on fishing boats in the area. In comparison to that, you have a couple of 100 fishing boats that are in Maldivian waters. So there's just no way. But right now, they don't even have to worry about it, because all the controlling mechanisms, all the boats, all the authorities are not going out. So that means around the world right now there's fishing boats of all sorts and all sizes out on the water and nobody's checking on them. Which again means in return that even though there might or might not be marine protected areas, there might be reserves of all kinds, and there might be really nice measures to actually protect the stretch of ocean. Right now it is not protected, even though it might be on the paper. So that is just something else to keep in mind. And as long as the demand is here, and it is, let's face it, those guys will keep fishing. But what I'm curious about is, how did this whole scenario here affect you guys? I see that a couple of people are actually watching. I have no idea who you are, but just drop a line and throw it into the comments as well. So, I just looked at my cheat sheet for a moment there. Something else I read in the newspaper this morning that actually made me giggle a little was that, well, here in Austria right now, the government is starting to do a bit more testing, and turns out, and I love that. So if you test people, you find more corona cases. Who would have thought? So that's something that goes around right now, because there's apparently a few more tests available right now. So people are getting tested, and yes, if you do test people, there is a good chance that you will find people who have corona and didn't even know. And the thing is, realistically, I think that dark number, like the unofficial cases that are never detected, is probably pretty big. I guess and that's really just me kind of making up a number, but I guess around 10 times more than what we really think it is. But ultimately, it is it is a virus, so everybody is going to catch it at some point. So the whole flattening curve thing, and I think that's a rather big misconception, is that people think if we stay at home long enough now, we will always be healthy. That's not the case. The whole scenario about it is to spread out the sick people over a longer period of time. So if you want it to be over quick and have a full-on mayhem, yeah, go ahead, get sick. So what we're doing right now is more of a, well, damage control, I would call it, because, well, the virus is here and it's here to stay. So it's just what it is. And in terms of marine environment, yeah, dolphins are coming back. Any ideas why? Feel free to throw it in. But ultimately, yeah, boating traffic is back. If you look at Croatia, usually at this time of the year, the tourists are coming in, all the charter fleets are getting ready, and we happened to be in the area last year around that time of the year. And the marinas were crazy. There was hundreds and hundreds of charter boats and tons of people running around trying everything to get them ready in time for masses of tourists to come in. And that means that ultimately you have thousands of people driving around, boats generally under motor, along the entire coast of Croatia, which is a lot of noise, which again means you don't see that many dolphins. But also on the dolphins, we just finished an article that will come out fairly soon, 4 weeks probably. But we'll post that on our website as well, and obviously cross-post on social media, Facebook, etc. By the way, if you haven't yet, make sure to have a look at our not just YouTube channel, but also the Facebook and Instagram, and leave us a like there or subscribe to our channels, whichever one is your poison. We are, well, right now we have the luxury of spending a lot of time on all this stuff, so we are trying to spread the word a little bit better than we used to. And also, if you guys have any particular questions, any favorite topics that you would like to discuss with us in the future, we are trying to actually pull in a few specialists on certain topics. So there will be more live sessions happening in the future, and we will have some external people to give you a bit of a rundown about certain topics. So that should hopefully be pretty good. And yeah, for now, I guess unless anybody has any questions that they are willing or pressing to ask, just throw them out. Otherwise, please do leave us a like on the bottom. Just hit that thumb up, and I'll be sticking around the chat for a while longer and put in the links for you in this description to all the articles that I showed you during the live stream. And other than that, I hope to see you next time. Bye guys.